Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily. This is your host Keith tonight for a change, and we have joined by Chris and Seany for a little game of picking an 11 of underachieving, underwhelming, under everything, under the bus players, whatever we want to call them. They were players that may not have been quite what we expected or just were never going to be. So we're going to just go through a few bodies on that and see where we can go. Before we get to the lads, I just want to say the show is sponsored by Paddy Power. A book is a website and an app. If you gamble, please do so responsibly and remember to do so with Paddy Power. So, Seany, how are you?
Good, mate. Good. Better now, having seen the pictures of the lads back in training today. With
put smiles on faces, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I'm just hoping now that they wrap the title up before they can get near any barber, because if I want pictures of Bobby Firmino with the perm holding the Premier League title
now, it's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, this would
the best thing I've ever seen.
Having a parade and stuff like that, just having that's permanent now. Like, we have them photos forever.
A little perm and a little pencil moustache. I mean, what more can you ask for? A little Chris Brack number going on. Chris, how are you?
I'm alright until that barb then, yeah. I want to have like a great soonest muzzy. That's what I want to have.
Bobby Firmino, a little Errol Flynn job. That's all you need.
He looks like
So, tonight, lads, as we said, we're going to go through a team and pick a 1 to 11 just between the three of us. We're going to just have a look and go through the positions and think of the players that have let us down in some way, you know, as you said, whether they never fulfilled the expectations that we had, or whether they just didn't work out, or they didn't grow into the players we thought, or were just downright shy. Like, there's a few of them. When thinking about the show and thinking about the players, I was surprised at the amount of garbage we've had, you know, for whatever reason. And, you know, picking a team, narrowing it down and ruling a few bodies out could be the hardest bit of this. But what are you thinking on our history of signings, lads? Is there, are you using the same boat as me, thinking that there's plenty to choose from here, or am I being too critical?
Sadly, there's a big list. There is a big list. You know, pretty much, probably up to the last 2-3 years, most of our teams have had some sort of dire players.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been struggling to try and cut it down.
A lot of it leads back to our good friend Damien Comolli. It's kind of when it was, like, up until the time he was involved with the club, and he seemed to clash with any manager we really ever had. Like, I'd say be players thrown about in here that Rick Parry signed, Benitez signed, Rodgers signed, Comolli signed. So I think up until recently, that's something we really struggled with. But thank God for Michael Edwards. This has done has made me just think, Jesus Christ, thank God we have Michael Edwards now.
Yeah. It really does bring it into focus, doesn't it? When you're a well-run club from top to bottom, it doesn't matter about it does matter about the players on the pitch, but you need cohesion from, you know, the director of football or sporting director, technical director, whatever they class them as. You need that. You need your manager and you need the players. And we're seeing it with other teams, you know, not having to dig at United or that, but you can see the mess that they're in there. You know, they don't have joined up thinking. And for long, it's been us for so long. You know, we've thought, you hear the final piece of the jigsaw all the time, and they never turned out to be that. Now you trust Michael Edwards. If he's going after a player, even if you're thinking like, I'm not too sure, in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, but he tends to get a lot of these right. So yeah, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, you know?
Yeah, sure. Like, you'd nearly rule out us signing a player now straight away as soon as we're linked, because you just know, no, that's just not something that we do. Whereas years ago, like, it was just scattershot across the board. There was no real vision or anything. And then when you look at some of the shite we brought in, I suppose, over time was just fucking mental, really.
Oh,
it's good now we're back to just buying. It's good now we're back to just buying 2 or 3 to tweak it, rather than, you know, we had the Kenny summer, we've had the Rodgers, where you signed 7, 8, 9 players, and 7, 8, 9 players, it rarely works, especially for the money we were paying for them. They weren't world beaters.
No, certainly not. So what we're going to do tonight, lads, is we're going to pick a team and we're going to just stick to the 4-3-3. I know 4-3-3 is this formation that's in vogue these days, and a lot of these players wouldn't have played in maybe in a 4-3-3, but we'll shoehorn them in as best we can to that system.
The Bale played in the 4-4-2.
Yeah, well, that's it. Most of them probably spent most of that time on the bench, and anyway, so they'd be happy to get in any team. So what we'll do, we'll just go from back to front and work our way through. I think that's probably the best way. We won't waste time on picking out numbers and things like that. So we'll start off with goalkeepers. What are you thinking on dodgy keepers? Now, I don't know how far back you want to go on this. I know I'm probably the oldest in here, so we can go back a bit, but I don't think we'll have to go back too far. We'll probably, the Premier League era should be sufficient enough on this. But
should be enough, yeah.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
I've got 9 on a list.
9?
Put down. So
is this everyone bar
Alisson
Becker? Yeah.
Almost, yeah. It's I think the only keepers I haven't put there, Alisson Becker, Werner and Dudek. I think most of the keepers I've had other than that have been pretty diabolical.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. What do you think?
For different reasons.
True. What do you make of it, Sean?
Mignolet.
It's a tough one. People will be online, and I've seen a few comments already thrown in the obvious shout of Karius. But Karius is, I'm sure he's on your list. Everyone's on your list. Scott's on your list.
I wouldn't put Karius on the list because, was he an underachiever? He was a 4 million goalkeeper, 4 million euro goalkeeper. Bought fucking pay peanuts.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I mean, Karius was probably like the prototype to an Alisson. A bit like when Guardiola bought Bravo, which didn't work out, and they got Edison. But I think a lot also Karius because, unfortunately, for both of them were poor in European finals, but Karius was poor in probably the biggest game in the club's history at the time, which is, concussion or not, he threw two in the European Cup final, and I can understand for a lot of people why that's diabolical. I mean, for me, someone like a David James was shite for a long time, as was, to me, one of the luckiest goalkeepers was Sander Westerveld. Although he won the treble, he wasn't actually that great a goalkeeper. He was scared of crosses.
Yeah,
bit like
Westerveld was terrible. And David James did cost us an awful lot. Maybe not the highlight Karius European Cup final cock-ups, but David James came into our team on the back of we weren't two distant league champions, and he sort of unfair on him maybe of a rot that set in at the club, and he just didn't have the mentality that we needed. And although I'm saying that Grobbelaar, I suppose, was a flaky character as well, but James he seemed a bit mentally weak, certainly when he was playing for Liverpool. But I think, Shawnee, you're more adamant that Mignolet is the man, and why are you feeling that about Simon?
I think when you're looking at these type of things, like underachieving and underwhelming, sometimes you just have to have a fair expectation of a player. But I actually thought Mignolet, when we saw Mignolet from Sunderland, I was thinking this is all right here, because 18 million was a good fee for a goalkeeper at the time. And I was thinking, do you know what? Maybe this is the fella. He seems like a decent shot stopper. He comes in, has a mental debut, saves a pen on the 90th minute, and then from then on, really, it's just I wouldn't say a comedy of errors, but it's just a consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
For the whole,
you never felt confident with him.
Yeah, no. And then we were juggling keepers with him and Karius for a season, and then he was good for 6 months, and then Karius was back in. It was a mess. Both of them were shy, and it got so bad that the two lads were that bad that everyone was just pointing the finger at John Achterberg for ages.
Yeah, that's true.
And I go Mignolet because of the price we paid, and basically because the amount of times that he let us down.
Yeah, and it is a fair shout. Karius made the balls of it on the biggest stage, but as I said about James, and the same applies to Mignolet, consistent letting you down. You know what I mean? Death by 1,000 paper cuts is as bad as the knockout blow. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's one that's tough. And you're right there, Shawnee. He did rotate with Cardias. He also rotated with Brad Jones. When Rodgers was there, he got dropped for Brad Jones.
Yeah.
I know Chris.
Brad Jones, any keeper I know could dive out the way of the ball.
And that was a case. That was nice. Jones was in. Sorry, Shawnee, what was that?
Jones was never even brought in to challenge for number one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we got.
I won't put him in this because.
Yeah.
He was more indicative of the side. He was more indicative.
Yeah. At the time. Yeah, no. He was more like that was more of a reflection on the squad at the time because we literally, for any of our top players, we didn't have adequate backup in any position.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And that's it. That's been our Achilles heel for so long, isn't it? Like, as what was a Raphael saying, you know what I mean? The blanket scenario, you'd either have enough to cover the top and you'd be left out at the bottom or the other way around. And this was Mignolet. I do agree. He's a nice guy and all that, but he just didn't have the mentality. He was too quiet and too maybe passive to be a goalkeeper that you maybe needed. You know, he wasn't a good ball playing goalkeeper. I know people say he's goalkeeper should be a goalkeeper, ball play me arse, but it's hard to look beyond a player like Mignolet when we're picking this for that reason. Or maybe it's a recency bias, I don't know, but I would agree that Mignolet should be the number one here on the grounds that it was a consistency. It was a fear of kicking the ball back to him that he just lumpered out a play, or there was no confidence in him at all. And
he said the president for that Rodgers side, and when Carragher came in, Carragher was already climbing the mountain of shite that Mignolet that was in front of him. Because I remember in Carragher's fourth season, we were rotating goalkeepers, and I was at the Sevilla game in Anfield, and Carragher was in net that night. And there was just a growing anxiety around the ground. That was the first group stage game that we'd played in years. And he hadn't even done anything wrong. But it was just the Anfield crowd was so used to Mignolet being a bomb scare at the back that it literally spilled out onto the pitch. So he wasn't helped from day dot. Now, that's not making excuses for the fella, because in the end, he cost us dearly. But Mignolet set a lot of lads up for the fall coming in behind him.
Yeah. No, it is real. He did. It's a key thing there. There was a precedent set. And I know there's a lot of names getting thrown in the chat there. You know, Carson, our Fex head got thrown in there. And we could throw bums in like a Tanjay and all. Never seen him. So, don't have any opinion on the likes of him. I think for this sort of team, I think Mignolet was a decent player, but was the epitome of inconsistency. So I'm happy enough that we'll nail him down as our number one. Are we all agreed on that?
Yeah,
I know Chris is probably has his.
I'm still leaning more to Carragher, but
yeah, I can understand that. I think Carragher, it's harsh as Shawnee said. We were getting a cheap keeper there and tried to turn him into something. It didn't work out. Mignolet, as we for years we were sort of hanging a hat on him. So yeah, we'll throw him in. So Chris, you're outvoted on this one, pal. But you might get the next one. So we're going to move over to right back. Right back. We've had players down the years that we've been fairly decent at right back compared maybe to the other side. But there's been a few stockings in there as well. Anyone jumping out from either of you two? Flano. Yeah. It's
Hotmic.
Rafa loved a scaldy fullback, didn't he? Hotmic, Kronkamp, he done everything to try and replace.
Kronkamp was the best. Didn't we buy him in January and sell him in the summer? He literally lasted 6 months.
But it was all to replace Finnan, and Finnan just kept swatting them away, because he was so consistent and so good. But Flano's an interesting one because
we were flying cafe while at the games and all to watch him.
Yeah. To do little sound bites and all that, the Scout Cafe and all, that was a setting up, wasn't it? That was a setup for a fall big time, because
it was a big storm, really, wasn't it? And he looked fucking brilliant. Like, he was everything all of the Liverpool fans wanted to see. Like, a local lad snapping into challenges, Like, he was decent on the ball. Like, he had the season of his life, and we were looking at there going, Jesus, maybe we're set up here for maybe the next 8 or 9 years at right back with Flanagan in there, like a local lad. And obviously what happened.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I know when we were looking at one of the other shows and I'd seen Flanagan, I think the only season of his career up to this year with Rangers that he played into double figures was that 13-14 season. So, you know, to have such a good season that year and then never to just die off after that, you know, it really was. I think he struck lightning in a bottle there, and he never was able to, which doesn't really tie in with what we saw that year, because he was very good, you know. He looked, Sean, he was spot on there. It was the type of, not signing, it was the type of player that you can get behind, you know. It was 100%. He's a local lad, as you said, snapping into tackles, not afraid to go in on big players, you know. He was getting in games where, you know, other players we've seen, and we'll talk about others, I'm sure, on this list as we go forward, that come in for big price tags, got swallowed up by the jersey or swallowed up by the crowd or the history of Liverpool. Like, he looked like he was going in there near a bother. But
I mean, he
just
did play more left back, didn't he? He did play more left back than he 13-14 than right back, because it was him or Alex Sissoko. So
yeah, but you know, he was a right back,
because the main guy playing right back is the guy who I think we all wanted but we probably bought him a year too late, was Glenn Johnson, who we thought Johnson, that's what we needed.
Yeah, he's one that will get a mention.
Yeah, and we thought we needed him the year we finished second, but then when we got him, he just never quite got to that level that you thought he would. You probably thought you get a bit like a Trent, you know, an absolute flyer down the wing, but he always got caught out. In fact, his best game for Liverpool when we stuck him left back, when he had to think. But there was an anticipation when you pay nearly £20 million for a right back, which at the time for Liverpool, you know, that's a lot of money that Liverpool would pay for a fullback.
I thought we got a good bit of mileage out of Johnson, but I thought he was inconsistent. Yeah, he was.
If you're looking at, like, from another point of view, underachiever, disappointing, I seen Alan Burke there put in the comments, although we played as centre back as well. Martin Kelly, he was another one who came through the ranks. Who, when we first came through, like, big, huge lad, he was quality on the ball, really impressive in his early appearances at Liverpool, and then just never recovered from an injury. And I remember, I think it might be Dalglish. I think it might have been Kenny Dalglish's book, where he actually singled out Martin Kelly as having a massive future at Liverpool at the time, and just never ever recovered from the injuries. Like,
yeah,
and another local lad who the fans would have loved to see like to become a stalwart in the team for some time after that. So I was a little bit disappointed with how he turned out Martin Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly was one that there was high hopes for, because he looked like, you know, he could go in there as a centre back or a fullback and really stamp a place in the teams. Maybe not a first choice in either position, but the type of utility player that we've seen other teams have down the years. Again, I don't like harking back to United all the time, but Ferguson's teams were always built on players like John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Phil Neville, that could go in and play. They could slot them in, and that's how I actually saw Martin Kelly. I thought he could be our version of that, and it just never happened for him. And the injuries just piled up on him, but he's had a decent career since leaving us. He's done well for Palace and has played some games. I don't know his numbers, but he certainly has played a few games since he's moved on. Grizz threw in Randall. What was his name? Connor Randall. Again,
he played a handful of games though.
Yeah, a couple of games, a bit harsh.
He fucking brutal.
He wasn't good. That's why he played. That's why he played a couple of games. He wasn't good enough. I mean, the other one is. Was it? Do you remember Javi Manquillo? We took him on a 2-year loan and we sent him back after the year because he was awful.
Yeah. That was a weird one.
Newcastle, isn't he?
Yeah, but and he's still hanging around. He's at Newcastle. Yeah, still gets in and out of their team, doesn't he? Or it's a weird one. And he was one actually that I actually had high expectations for. So yeah, I forgot all about him. Like you think of Hotmic and you think Kronkamp, and see someone mentioned there Andre Wisdom. And Andre Wisdom's another one that there was high hopes. He was the captain of the under 23s or whatever they were, 21s at the time, and just he was pushed as a centre back, really, wasn't it? And he was just too small. He
And
didn't have the height.
Like you look at any Europa League lineup from Rodgers' time there, and you could probably probably put the whole 11 out there, like, you know what I mean? You have another one as well, like, who's done well since he's left. Honestly, like, obviously, it's Connor Cody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Another one who ended up there, like, you know what I mean? So,
and I suppose
who probably underachieved in terms of becoming like tier 1 Liverpool players, but.
And it's probably harsh. It's probably a harsh way to judge them, like when you've got maybe not a right back, like some of the right backs we've had, as I said, have been quite good. Jason McAteer maybe he's one that failed to live up to the expectation, you know, came in with a bit of hype, Scouse fella coming into the team, was a decent enough player, but didn't really hit the heights we expected. But maybe it's unfair on the likes of Randall, Wisdom and Kelly, even Flanagan, that we'd put them in there. But without then looking at like a Hotmic or something, is there anyone really standing out there that we could put in? Or is Flano just the ideal, the poster boy for this sort of team? You know, as we said, did Randall play any league games for us? Or he probably only played 1 or 2. It'd be harsh to go with him.
I think he played some near the end when we were on the Europa League run, but
Klein was another one. Klein,
I forgot all about him, yeah.
When Klein signed, I was delighted we got him because I was thinking he was one of the better fullbacks in the league at the time. And
a good bit of business, that one.
Yeah, between inconsistency and injury, like he just never really. He had one really good season, and then after that, it was just he never really got going, did he?
I think. Yeah. I think Klein suffered from the same problem Nigel Clough suffered from, which is just when he was trying to sign to Liverpool, Robbie Fowler landed, and I think for Klein, just when he's coming back from an injury, Trent arrives. At a different level, and so I think he's a victim of injured at the wrong time, and basically your replacement just arrives as you are injured. So I think Klein is a little bit of he's unfortunate because he's been solid for us. You know, I thought when we signed Klein, there's the next Steve Finnan. You know, so I thought that was, you know, good business. I mean, I still think if we're going to get it right back, I think someone who played a bit more for us than one season. I mean, then again, I still can't get a bit on Kroenkamp. We literally signed the guy for half a season and binned him off. I don't even know what his best assets were. And at some point, we stuck him right wing.
Hotmic stole a European Cup winners medal, did he? So we'll leave him out. So will we go Kroenkamp then for the right back? And we'll move over to the other side and we go to left back now.
Okay.
Left backs.
Which we've had.
What way do you want to do this one now? Because
one unmitigated.
One for me is Konchesky. Who's that? Sorry.
But Konchesky was shy.
Is that who?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say Moreno.
Konchesky, yeah.
We literally thought we were getting one of the best emerging left backs in European football. Everyone wanted him from Sevilla.
Yeah, that's true.
Real, Barca, they just couldn't guarantee him first team football, and we paid a lot of money for Moreno.
Yeah, that's right.
So, from
I've got Konchesky. I've got Konchesky because we ended up selling Mascherano and buying him.
But was there any expectation on Konchesky? For me, I know there wasn't.
I'd expect it.
I couldn't believe
I expected Pressure was to be able to drop a ball and maybe cross a ball every now and again. He didn't do anything. He was horrendous. He was absolutely horrendous. And plus, obviously, there's the fun that his mum hates us as well, which is always funny.
Yeah,
probably would have been mad to expect Konchesky to be anything other than like bang average at best when we signed him. Like it was the most.
I'll be honest.
Ever. That picture still haunts me.
I thought he was average.
And Jovanovic.
I thought he was average, and he was. Yeah, my thing with him was I knew he was an average footballer, but then when you saw him in person, thinking he's even worse than I thought. You know,
must be paid for,
which is quite a level to drop.
For Konchesky?
Well, yeah,
it's only about 3 million. Is it?
We gave 2 kids away, didn't we?
Yeah, we Lorry Dally Valley and Kakalikinich or Kakalikinich.
Yeah, that's it. We had to give 2 kids because that's how skint we were at the time. Because he was desperate to bring Konchesky over.
Yeah,
I mean, there's the always classics of I thought Christian Ziege would have done better than what he did.
Christian Ziege is a good shout, yeah.
But after I was getting done for tapping him up, we got done for tapping him up, so there was a bit of hype around him, and he was just okay for us, and ultimately he couldn't displace Carragher. Now that may be more because Julio wants to go for more of a solid back line, but again, he was someone who probably should have done better than he has.
There's loads of names that flying into
the same boat.
Yeah, there's names flying into the chat there, and you forget how many absolute donkeys we had at left back. We had obviously Moreno, we had Gregory Viñals getting a mention, Emiliano Insua, Andrea Desane, Jimmy Traore.
But not because he was shy, but just because he underachieved, because he didn't actually get to put a stamp on the team due to injury. Like, I love Fabio Aurelio.
Yeah,
he was quality.
Yeah.
And whenever he played, he was actually really good. You could just never get a solid enough run in the team to stamp there. Because I actually thought he was a good player. So he was actually he underachieved him, in my opinion, because I actually think he had all the ability to be a top quality fullback.
Yeah. That's actually the one that sticks out for me. Yeah, that's the one that sticks out for me the most, because he looked like the best left back that we'd had, ability wise. Technically, they said he was probably one of the best players in that Benitez side. Players have come out and said what Elio could do was absolute top notch. But he just couldn't, keep his body in. It's not his fault. His body was breaking down with injuries or whatever, but it was the most frustrated, of all the players. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was world class. Free kick against United in the 4-1 was an absolute cracker. Free kick against Chelsea was a very underrated goal where he saw Czech moving out and pinged it in. It's a forgotten goal that we had. But he's one that it's nearly, it brings a tear to me eye thinking of Fabio Aurelio and what could have been. So I'm going to overrule you both of you there. I'm going to put Fabio Aurelio into the team at left back, because it's just one. It's not on anything to do with his ability. It's just, I wish it could have worked
happened for him.
Yeah, wish it could have been better, that way. So we'll move into the centre backs. Again, we've had a few bleeding pony ones there. We've had some decent ones. We've had some controversial ones. We've had some that the three of us might all have different opinions on. But what are we thinking? Chris, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Sacco.
Who? Sacco.
This is Sacco, who, when we signed for £80 million, I believe Ian Ayre said, this is our marquee signing. This is the guy who's captain of PSG at 18. You thought, he's good on the ball, he's dominant. Yeah, you thought, oh, Christ, we've not had this for a while. Just never quite got to the level. And, and after all that, he was constantly a bit inconsistent. He showed flashes of real unprofessionalism when he didn't get picked. I think he didn't get picked for the derby, and he pissed off.
Yeah, but weren't he putting pictures up of him breaking the weight machines and all this sort of carry on like he was some sort of Superman?
Yeah. He became like a cult hero, and then he's part of the reason we didn't win the Europa League finals, because he couldn't play because he was banned. So let's play a very old Colo Torre. Now, he didn't do anything illegal because he got proved in. But
he done something stupid.
Why does a professional footballer who trains and lives their life like a professional footballer need to take a fat pill?
Yeah.
To lose
I
weight?
agree, 100%.
I need to take a fat pill, but I'm not being paid 70 grand a week to be a professional footballer.
And it's stupidity.
He was a fucking clown. Klopp fucking copped onto him as soon as he came in the door. Yeah. That's what happened to him. Because where the character came around the dressing room, you know what I mean? But Klopp said, "No, fuck you," and that was a kind of a benchmark. That was kind of a place for the rest of the players to say, "Look, if you act a cunt, you're gone." That video. That video is infamous now. You can see where physically he's getting on Klopp's nerves.
Yeah, Klopp's still laughing, but you can tell he's bleeding, bristling under it as well.
Thiago Laurie, I remember the article that came in about him when we signed him. That
faster than Ronaldo and Nani at Sporting Lisbon and all this sort of stuff. I have him on the screen there. Before we move on, I'll take it down. Pellegrini and Dico shout out. Pellegrini is a harsh one, because what Pellegrini Pellegrini was a great centre-back for Valencia, but he came in, Rafa brought him in.
Too old.
And it was more or less just to, in my opinion, I could be wrong, it was more or less to get them used to zonal marking and to get the players just sort of, you know, to train them in zonal marking. It was nearly like he was a coach on the pitch. So I think Pellegrini's probably a hard one.
Rafa also likes to sign these players that would give certain players a kick up the arse. So like Hotmic, because of him, Finnan went up a level. And maybe for Hyypiä, he just give him a little bit of a you're not first choice. And then Hyypiä went to another level and you knew Hyypiä was a better player. So sometimes these players are brought in just to give certain players a little bit of competition, though it's not really competition. I mean, similar to Ilori was like
he went straight into a player manager's job after that.
Yeah. Those I mean, the other one is Quatters. He was hyped. I think he got young player. Yeah. He got young player of the year at the.
He did young player at the Copa America the year we signed him.
Just never adapted. Never adapted to English football.
But again, it's tough, isn't it? It is. Yeah, he's a bit of a legend. I think that's important. He had to break into any team, isn't it? When you're a young centre back, it's like Thiago Ilori, as we said as well. You know, they just don't. The managers tend not to trust them, and it's a sign of a manager does throw a 19, 20, 21-year-old centre back in. It's a sign that they have a lot of faith in them. Look at Joe Gomez development now, but I think we've had a lot worse than these young guys. I think Martin Skrtel is one. Well, Kyriakos was a bit of a cult hero. Again, as Shawnee said earlier, when you're paying peanuts, you're not going to expect to get the world.
It was like watching the QE2 turn around though.
It was terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for Martin Skrtel, we had years of a player who just bred fear and anxiety into the team. You know, every time he played, whether it was against especially when it was against a big burly striker. And if you looked at Martin Skrtel, he looked like a sort of a henchman for the Russian mafia type of character, and he just got bullied all over the place. He's one that sticks in my head. Anyone else? Are we going back further for any more? I mean, people say
the only one I can think of is because he was hyped when we bought him was Neil Ruddock. That's the bit of steel Liverpool need, the bit of nastiness Liverpool need, and he was just a yard dog. He was the ultimate yard dog. All he could do was ping a ball dead hard. It's rubbish.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Johnny?
Lovren.
Dejan. Yeah. It's the same as Skrtel, isn't it? It's
big money though. Big money. Lovren was big.
20 million. Yeah.
Yeah, he was class at Southampton. Again, we thought we were going in the right direction, and then he just fucking some of the clips from his fourth season at Liverpool.
Yeah. But that was also indicative of Liverpool in general. That first season he had, because we were trying to play 8 up front and then just go into 2 centre backs. Just deal with that. We don't really do that anymore.
Lovren was the leader, wasn't he?
But even Lovren and Skrtel is. They played better when they had a leader next to him.
Even in the game, like I got back to Man City at the Etihad last year. Lovren sleeping on the goal. Newcastle away. I know we won. I say it all the time. Van Dijk played centre half on his own that day.
They're great examples of Lovren, aren't they? Because he'd have a good game. That Man City game, he was decent. And then he switches off. Yeah. And then bang, Aguero is in and scored.
Watford. Who beat the FA Cup there? But he didn't beat us.
Shrewsbury.
No, who was the fucking... Was it Shrewsbury? Yeah, it was Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Like...
I mean, you could argue the Shrewsbury game, Matip was just as poor. But I mean, Matip's got a lot more credit in the bank, in fairness.
Like... Lovren, 20 million, goes and plays a World Cup final for Croatia and all this, but just like Mignolet, consistently inconsistent. And the worst thing about Lovren was he backed himself so much that he made the cross for his own back. And it's hard to say a player who's won a Champions League title for us and is going to win a league title for us is underachieved, but a lot of
we bought him as a start.
would be.
I know what you mean. We bought him as a starter, and ultimately I would say he's a very good squad player. But that's what he is. But when we bought him as
not only as a starter, we brought him to be the leader of the defence, to fix it up. And again, if you look at overhyped, we had Carragher and Gary Neville were both eulogising about him being the best defender in the league when we signed him as well. So there was a lot of hype. I'm happy to throw Degsy under the bus here as well, because for the same reason of Mignolet and Skrtel, who's the other one I was looking at, they just breed fear whenever they play. You know there's an error around the corner. It's like Sacco. He looked worse maybe than he was, but you just weren't able to see it. And maybe we're spoiled with Gomez and Van Dijk, and even Matip. Matip, when he's playing, looks excellent these days. That we're singling out here the sort of Brendan Rodgers here of centre backs. Yeah,
I still think Sacco's probably more culpable. He had big ricks in him. I think he sort of typified what was wrong with Liverpool behind the scenes, because he didn't act like a £20 million professional. He acted like a kid. So the two for me were always Sacco and Ruddock. They were the first two that came.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm wondering. Like, are we overlooking the 90s here? Are we overlooking the Ruddocks and the Phil Babbs? I've seen John Scales got a mention there. John Scales wasn't a bad player.
Neil Ruddock to me was always the this is what we need to get United. We need, like, a bit of nastiness, a bit of ruggedness.
Yeah,
which was true. We did. We were far too nice to sound, far too easy to play around. But Neil Ruddock came in. We weren't any better, and he was a yard dog. He was so easy to play around. He was crap. I mean, and look, you see what after his career after Liverpool, he just went even more and more unprofessional.
And I suppose it's hard when you look back at that era of professionalism. He was part of the. He was part of the drinking gang and all that, and it's you can mark him out as being a bit of a sham, but they were all really at it, that way. He just obviously was one that suffered with weight and all that, and was just a bit too much of a boy. But is there anyone else that were Honcho getting a mention? Is that a bit harsh on Honcho?
Honcho's harsh. He was a good out and out defender. He was crap on the ball, but he was good. The other one was it Bjorn Kavarmi? And there was a bit of hype outside, but not massive. Nothing like sort of Ruddock, Sacco, Lovren. They got big hype.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I keep going back to Sacco was ultimately Klopp looked at the two of them and went, I'll keep Lovren and I'll sell Sacco. And he could have kept and to be honest, at the time, most of us as fans could have gone, sell either. Not even
sell all of them. Sell the blade lot of them.
Yeah. So there must have been a reason Klopp decided I'll stick with him and not with him. No, he knew he had to upgrade on him.
The only thing with Lovren is Klopp does seem to really love him. You know what I mean? Like he defends him and he plays him in games when you probably think he wouldn't. But look, there's no.
And he probably sticks.
I'm being harsh. It's definitely really boys for me because
which I understand because
he's played a lot of games. He's at the scene of too many crimes, and he's played a lot of games. Like we could look at players like people talk about going way back to the likes of Torben Picnic and all that. Torben Picnic barely played for Liverpool, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't go with young guys. I see Mickey Tanner getting his name thrown in there. These guys didn't really have a lasting impression. Degsy was the man that we were building our foundations on, and while we got where we wanted to get, it wasn't thanks to Degsy really. It was probably despite him. So we'll throw him in there with Sacco. It's getting a chill even looking at that centre half pair and be in front of Mignolet. So we'll move on to midfield now, lads. We're just going to go for three midfielders. You can go any way you want with this, whether it's three central players, whether it's, we won't fall out over attacking midfielders or right midfielders or any of that nonsense. So, midfield.
Alberto Aquilani.
Are we all in agreement with Alberto Aquilani?
Massive money. We thought, replacing Alonso, which is always, for the lads, a hard thing to do, but we bought him injured, never kicked on. And then he stuck around for, 4 or 5 years,
Yeah, I can remember.
Had a look at him.
That's Klopp the thing.
I think all his mates had a look at him and just went, no, go on another year. We couldn't sell him. Nobody would buy him.
We gave too much wages. It was the course of the English Premier League money sort of coming in there. I mean, he was one of the pillars at Roma alongside Totti and De Rossi, or so we were led to believe. You know what I mean? He was
we thought this was going to be like a Yeah, but we thought with Matt Shaw and him, he'd be like, so,
and then couldn't get rid of him, couldn't ship him off anywhere for the
recovered after that. Really did it. So it was just I just went to go really that.
He sort of moved to the teams like Sassuolo and all these guys, and just he wasn't pulling up trees anywhere. I mean, and it's a harsh one for Aquilani because he was actually a good player, but as you said there, he signed injured, and I think the expectation. Look, this was it's a good parallel to, or not parallel comparison, the opposite to now. You know, if we sign a player now, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, Naby Keita is one that you're probably thinking is like, you know. But he's a good player. He's a good player. He's just the injuries are hitting him. But with the hype around Naby is what I was sort of thinking. You know, we'd signed Naby and then had to wait a year to get him. Aquilani was one that when we signed him, he was an established player. You know what I mean? He was a good player, and to replace someone like Alonso, we were probably a bit too desperate. You know what I mean? From the work out, and it just didn't happen. Now I'm seeing a few other names getting thrown in here. Igor Biscan, I thought Igor Biscan was all right, to be honest with you. I thought Biscan played well when he was given a game. He just looked like a bit of a Salif Gel. Jesus, I had him on the back of a Liverpool jersey once. Shame on me.
After 2002 World Cup, we thought we were getting a quality player there. Who else? Who else? You could look at Joe Cole.
Joe Cole is one that it's in the category, isn't it, of what you think you're getting compared to what you believe and get.
Marquee sign. Yeah, marquee sign.
A free signing, but it wasn't. It was coming from Chelsea. You know, it was a top rival at the time. We're getting Joe Cole. He was one that he looked like he was waiting. He was in and out of the Chelsea squad for this whole sort of time there. You know, he was always the next man in.
Be the main man. And that's what we thought. And then you had the Gerrard article about him being like Messi and trying and stuff like. So we thought we were onto a winner. And then I remember his debut home to Arsenal at Anfield.
Yeah, sent off.
Yeah, I was on my hoodie watching that.
Yeah,
yes, that was right.
Was it David Ngog? Wasn't it with a winner?
He was a strike. Yeah. It was one of them. It was a disastrous one. I mean, there's going to be loads of names that'll get bandied in on the midfielders and the attackers now. So we'll see a few. I see Paul Stewart getting a mention there from yesteryear. You know, but I think for expectation. What are you saying there, Chris?
Nuri Sahin was a funny one. Brought him on loan from Real Madrid. You thought, well, this looks quite a clever player. He was gone in 6 months, and then
but I don't blame Nuri Sahin. I don't blame Nuri Sahin in the slightest. Fucking Rodgers.
No, it's not him. I blame. It's more of a you thought we're getting this guy from Real Madrid. This is going to be a bit of a what we need in midfield, something a bit of extra quality, and then we didn't pick him.
Yeah, but I think he thought that. I think he was frustrated on that one as well because we brought him, and I think Rodgers tried to play him as a sort of deep line midfielder, and he didn't play that. Like that wasn't his position, so it was a bit weird to bring him in and then never to play him. But we've had some. That was only for the year. See, Ivan Leonardson got mentioned there. He was one that. Geez, I remember we signed Ivan Leonardson before your time, Shani. And anyway, we brought him in from Wimbledon, I think it was at the time, and it was big money in that day as well. You know, it was a big signing, and he looked terrified. He just didn't look like he had the minerals to play for Liverpool at all, that fella. And it was a weird one, you know, and he never done it. Wimbledon conned a lot of people back then. You know, there was, as we touched on, John Scales, and there was a few players that played at Wimbledon and went to big teams, and just probably teams realised that they were at Wimbledon for a reason, and they were a type of player, not being too disrespectful, but they were a type of player that played in a type of system and that didn't really suit.
Remember we pretended Charlie Adam was a good player for the
I forgot about him. Jesus Christ.
His corners are worth £10 million alone.
Yeah.
I think Ferguson set us up there, to be honest.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Charlie Adam was brilliant that year we signed him, but we certainly got, because we tried to sign him we tried to get him on the cheap. We tried to get him for about $3 million. And that's when Ferguson came out with the 10 million for the set pieces alone, and we dived on it.
Even O'Connor's at the point in a belter of a shout there. John Joe Shelby.
Yeah. He came out there saying he regrets leaving. I'd say he does.
because
He was.
He believed his hype.
Technical ability though, he was fucking mustard, man. The fella was spraying balls around he was like a young Gerrard.
That's exactly what I was going to say there.
Pinging balls around, and we were thinking, Jesus Christ, we got him from Charlton, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was another one who everyone wanted.
And we got him very young, and he was on the radar for years. He was that well hyped.
I just think discipline and the lack of actually, you can have a football brain but not have a brain at the same time. You get me? And I think that's what probably killed him in the.
He was one that I think
very lazy.
Yeah, he was very lazy, but the Gerrard comparison I think is brilliant. I used to bait that drum all the time and say, look, this fella is the closest thing you'll see to Steven Gerrard. Not necessarily ability-wise, even though he did remind me of Gerrard, even his physique, you know, he was big, he was strong, he was sort of had a bit of a peacock about him, you know what I mean? He'd strut his chest out and he'd be, you know, give me the ball, and he's still like that to this day. But the mentality on him, like, that was, I don't know if it was the hype got to him or what it was, but he was one that he really could have been excellent. But whereas Gerrard sort of was tactically, you know, he developed and sort of changed his, you know, Gerrard was very rash in his early years and would dive into tackles, red cards all over, but he changed, where Shelvey just didn't seem to have it upstairs to do that.
The other two I've got, and it was a centre midfield partnership in the mid-90s, Paul Ince with Jamie Redknapp.
Oh, fucking Paul Ince. Well, Jamie Redknapp, but Paul Ince.
Why? Jamie Redknapp was the captain. No. He was soft. He was easily bullied. Look, injuries you can't help. I get that, you can't help injuries, but I just felt he was a man you could bully off the ball. He had a great free kick on him, he had great delivery on him. But you saw in games, he got teams to target him, rattle him early, and he'd go quiet, and you never saw him. And as a captain, you can't be doing that. Whereas Paul Ince was this is our Roy Keane, this is our...
The governor.
You know, the governor's going to come and sort things out, and he turned up in the big games. He was great at, you know, against United, he was great against Chelsea. Charlton at home, never saw him. Hid, you know, believed his hype. Didn't do anywhere near it. And I remember this summer I had a Paul Ince shirt. Yeah, I'd pull up from my shirt. So shame on me as well. But when you look back, him and Redknapp as a partnership, and him and Redknapp, just to me, it wasn't right.
Soft, wasn't it? It was the epitome of a soft centre. That all right. Now Phil Casey of this parish keeps throwing in Lucas and is adamant that Lucas is the player that's set back for. When we're going through this blatant litany of muck that we're looking at here, Lucas is nowhere near this level. And again,
we're not saying he's a great. He's not a great, but you know, he's not. There's much worse than him. Lucas is the most unlucky player in the world, because when he finally hit some form for us, he tore his ACL, and that for the Olympic finish. I mean, he might win the league with Lazio. Yeah, you know,
Lucas was one that, you know, he gave everything he had, and well, you want that bit of quality. You know what I mean? Sometimes if a player will run the bollocks off himself.
The problem with Lucas was when we signed him, we were watching videos on YouTube. He was a number 10 in Brazil.
That's right, yeah.
Taking the ball in the top corner from 20.
Yeah. Taking shots. Taking shots from everywhere.
We never ever seen it. Like,
never. Like, did Rafa just drill that out of him or what? Like,
we played games that sent back for us as well. Like, so, he was one.
We've also got the other one. Was it the next Zidane? Was it Bruno Cherou?
Bruno Cherou was a letdown, but do you know what? The thing with Bruno Cherou as well was, you know, we were guilty, certainly back in those days, in the Houllier days, of overhyping any skid mark that had been linked with us. You know, there was some real blatant garbage. He was one, Bruno Cherou was one, Letalic, Cinema Pongol, all these young French guys that were linked to us. They weren't coming from Marseille or Lyon or anything. I don't know where Cherou came from, can't even remember, but they were, you know, the other lads were coming from Le Havre, or were coming from, you know, smaller teams in France.
Let's like a Pogba you can forgive, because they were kids. We brought them in as kids, they didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, that's it.
A bit more
was a decent player.
Who?
Was that, sorry?
Pongal was actually... Pongal went and had a good career in Spain then after Liverpool.
He Racing Santander, I think he played with Betis or one of those teams that wear green. Like, he was, and he featured in and as did Letalic in the 05 season. They had moments, you know, if you look back in 20 years at History of Liverpool DVDs, they're going to pop up, you know what I mean? That they're in there. So between Letalic and the Juventus and Pongol and the Olympiacos, like they're in there. There's a lot worse out there. Like so far, we've gone with Mignolet in goal. We've gone with Kronkamp and Aurelio, controversially Aurelio, but he just breaks me heart, so I'm putting him in. We've got Lovren and Sacco at the back, so we're built on a foundation of blade and eggshell. Are we happy enough to throw Aquilani in the midfield? Are we all happy with that one?
I think that's unanimous. Yeah.
What about we've had a few names there, boys. Anyone else jumping out? I mean, Charlie Adam. Who?
Shelby is jumping out.
Shelby.
I think Shelby could have been
Shelby.
Not just for Liverpool, he could have been a great player for England as well.
Yeah.
I think with had he applied himself right.
Yeah, he really could, and it's one that got away. Really, a career that you must look at. Where he was at Charlton, he was in England under 21s. He was really the bright hope of English football. Gets a move to Liverpool, gets game time at Liverpool, and then just all goes down. The biggest highlight he had was giving it to Fergie when he got played and sent off, and that's no, great shakes to have.
Fergie's laughing at him.
Exactly, yeah.
He ultimately got the win. So what we do for the other sentiment? Do we go for somebody?
So we go. I'll give Shelby I gave Shawnee the pick there on Shelby, Chris. So who do you want to throw in? Now we're not putting Redknapp in, so I'll veto if you give me a silly one here. We've come up with enough shite bags there to get in that Jamie Redknapp should be safe. A former captain. I'm not getting greasy on a former captain here, unless it's Paul Ince, of course. Shadham, good
Charlie
lad.
Adam.
Absolute pony. A player that was so unprofessional. Like he's only about 33 or 34 now, and he looks like a 53-year-old drunk. He's takes no care of himself for a professional footballer.
Carragher has been very vocal about his carry-on when he signed for the club. Like fucking bragging about being on the session and all, and apparently two of the senior players at Liverpool at the time turned around to Kenny and say, "What the fuck are you bringing this cunt here for?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mad. It's the Damian Comoli. It's the blackest of black spots on his fucking resume, isn't it? I know. Was it Comoli that summer, or was that Dalglish?
Yeah,
no, Dalglish, wasn't it? That was
Dalglish.
trying to line them all up, was he?
Yeah.
That summer he had Carroll, and he wanted to get everyone that could cross a ball or pass a ball in there, build your team around set pieces.
The talk is Dalglish went to pick him up and drove him to Liverpool. So he got picked up by the Liverpool legend. That is Dalglish. It's one of Kenny. I'll probably say it's one of Kenny's worst signings.
Yeah, Grizz isn't happy that Fabio Aurelio is in, so alongside all these bombs.
Give him context.
He's right.
But Grizz, the reason we're going with Fabio Aurelio here is it's the one that really could have been the best left back we've had in the Premier League era up until Robertson's come in, and it just never happened. So it might be harsh to have him in there in some ways.
It didn't go from as you'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a reflection on him. I actually loved him as a player, but it just was one that didn't pan out, So relax, Grizz. We did use clash. You're right, Grizz. He did. So we're going for the midfield then. Oh, Jesus, that's a some midfield. Aquilani, Charlie Adam, and John Joe Shelby. And the amount of
tracking back.
There's no tracking back
there, is there?
There's loads of, I'd say there'll be digging matches over free kicks there, I'd say, with Adam and Shelby, Aquilani as well.
I'll be honest, look at this side, we're gonna have to pick subs because half this lot won't last 60 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's true, yeah. Definitely. We want to load the midfield.
Squad.
Yeah. Right, now up in the forwards. Again, we've had So we at the start of this, we said there's different ways we can rate and judge a player. Right now, with forwards, is it a young player that never pushed on? Is it a player that we signed for big money that was just abject, or is it a player that we could have had and let slip through our fingers, who went on to become better somewhere else? So, Shawnee, I'll let you go first on the forwards here. Have you any in mind that you're...
There's one screaming at me, and I don't think there'll be even any deliberation. Lazar Markovic.
Lazar Markovic.
I don't even need to go into detail. but I will.
I was so
Yeah.
I was so excited when we signed him.
Everyone was. We thought we were getting the Serbian Messi.
Yeah.
And he came. He was just utter dog shit.
He was absolutely brutal.
And in the end, we couldn't even give him away.
Yeah, he's another one like Aquilani, wasn't he? It was just loan after loan. Now, I tried to make an argument for Lazard on a show before that he probably just came at the wrong time and got lashed over. And, you know, looking back, he did have his chances, but the hype around him, he'd come from Benfica, so wasn't it Benfica? It was Benfica, yeah. So, yeah, it was big money, and it wasn't from, you know, it's not like we bought him out of the Serbian league. He come from a team, right, well, the Portuguese league isn't the top league in Europe. They were producing talent, and they were especially producing attacking players.
He was doing really well. He was doing really well in the Europa League because Benfica got to, I think they got to the final the year we signed him.
He really was.
I know he was suspended for the final. But every time he came on, you thought he made you get excited. Thought, oh look, this looks an exciting lad we've got here. And it just never ever took off. I mean, there's probably a list of.
Didn't even look like a footballer.
Yeah, it's crazy how poor he looked, and some players that have come in here and have, you know, we spoke about Aquilani, and Aquilani his career never done that, but he was crippled with injuries. Lazar Markovic is probably only about 25, 26 now. Where is he? You know what I mean? Who's he playing with?
No idea.
Leinster Senior League.
I think he was in Belgrade or something like that, one of them leagues.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be surprised, you know what I mean? It's just gone. And he was a player who, you know, he'd always get offers for loans. Teams would be saying, oh, we'll take him on loan. And they'd get him, they'd fight, you know, Anderlecht would get him. And after 4 or 5 games, he'd be out of the team. And it's like, you'd read, we're looking to cancel this loan, lads. Any chance we can take him back without any penalties and all, you know? And a player that was constantly getting sent back.
We gave him to Fulham, and then they just gave him away again.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even sell him. They just said,
he played 45 minutes for Fulham, and they went, that'll do. That's for us.
Exactly. You know, it's a damning indictment. It's one of them. Go ahead, Chris.
Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other thing is we've got a list here of strikers here you could say have bought for big money with big hype. We've had quite a few big hype strikers that have never kicked on to the way you would expect, but they have gone on to have some of them have gone on to have good careers elsewhere. You know, the likes of your Robbie Keanes, your Morientes. You know, those sort of strikers you think would or should do well for us and never kicked on.
Okay.
Mario Balotelli, all the ability in the world, just cannot be asked applying it.
And again,
the one that always killed me.
He was always a lucky bag, wasn't he, Balotelli? We didn't know what we were going to get. Robbie Keane breaks my heart a little bit because to any Irish football fan, Robbie Keane's a hero. He's without doubt the best goal scorer this country has ever produced, and operated in the Premier League at an extremely high level for the majority of his career. And then he was a massive Liverpool fan as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think what happened with Robbie Keane was, I think Rick Parry wanted him and Rafa Benitez didn't.
Yeah.
And basically, the writing was on the wall for him because, look, in the lockdown, you've had a lot of ex-players on shows, and John Terry gave us 2 cents about Benitez and didn't seem like he was the best of fellas. And then there's actually Robbie Keane was on Soccer Box with Gary Neville, and he just said from day dot, and Benitez never saw eye to eye. He was telling him how to play football, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy. We spoke about me and Chris. You were on the love hate we done with Robbie Keane, weren't you?
We did, yeah.
And we spoke about, you know, and me and Gav did say echoes that, you know, as Irish fans, we were very excited about Robbie Keane, and it just never worked. And, you know, for Rafa was playing a political game certainly back then with owners and all that, and it was just an absolute unmitigated disaster. We could have done with him that year in the second half of that season, you know, when we're bringing on Ngoga, we're bringing on Elzar, and we could have had Robbie Keane coming in when he was just finding his form as well. You know, it was a bizarre one. Other players we've had, I mean, El Hadj Diouf is the most despicable character that's ever put on a Liverpool jersey. And
I don't even want to associate him with an 11, though. I think.
Yeah, it's hard.
But
But what I think,
the hype around him was, when we bought him, we
the
thought we were
serial
getting
killer.
really, really good striker. You know, and he'd done well in the World Cup, and you all thought we're getting someone here, and he's just horrible. You know,
But again,
us and Celtic have a great relationship. What we did, and he's spitting at fans, and he's like, well,
I don't think anyone would hold us accountable for his carry on, but you know what I mean?
No, but it's still not good for the club. But if you've got to be arrogant and you've got to be up your own arse, you sort of produce. And he didn't.
The biggest crime,
two league goals.
The biggest crime about El Hadj Diouf is that we lost Nicholas and Elka because of him.
Yeah.
That, to me, is the biggest crime. I agree with you, Shawnee. You know, I wouldn't even want to put him in an 11 because there's players in here that are not bad players. They're just unlucky players, or for whatever reason they didn't work out for them. Now, El Hadj Diouf is an absolute scumbag and is a despicable character. So I would want him. But Nicholas and Elka is one that, alongside Fernando Morientes, is another one. You know, they were players that we had, or Anelka we had sort of a flimsy hold of. And he was one that really we could have, if we tied him down, he could have been the business for us. You know, he could have been set up for years to come. Morientes was one that we got in his sort of prime as well, that never worked out for whatever reason. Again, he was, I think, wasn't he cup tied for European competitions when we signed him before season? He was in and out and suffered for that.
I think the pace, I think the lack of pace ultimately killed Morientes, which is not his fault. If you haven't got it, you haven't got it.
Yeah, but again, I suppose you're in and out. You're not able to establish yourself. It's probably a hard thing to do as well. But
then we had the likes of Benteke.
Benteke, a lot of money. But, the only thing I'd say, we got a lot of it back.
Yeah, the thing with Benteke is though, you sign a big target man, you sell all your wingers. He typified Liverpool at the time. I mean, the one that killed me that I thought I was hoping he'd do well for Liverpool was Ricky Lambert. I always wanted him to do well for Liverpool because of his story, you know, released by Liverpool, in a bucket factory, got up the league, finally gets a big move to Liverpool. It just comes too late.
Yeah, but
he was the wrong time for him, and I felt for him.
That was
He was part of that summer, wasn't he? Yeah,
he wasn't because Balotelli was supposed to be the main.
That's what I was going to say.
He was the impact man.
And are we overlooking Andy Carroll? Because the thing that was breaking my heart for years was that he was a record signing, and I just wanted us to sign anybody for £35 million and £1 just to get him off there.
He was unplayable when we bought him, though.
Unreal.
Newcastle, he was a monster.
Unreal, and he could still be if he bothered and he applied himself. He's another one that just never. I mean, his background and his story and all was not one of a dedicated professional. You know what I mean? Like, he was in trouble. He was going on the gargle. He was having rows. He was bleeding injured, falling off casino seats. You know what I mean? There was no dedication from Andy Carroll. If he had have dedicated, like you're talking about, probably. And I remember when we signed him, thinking it like
Harry Kane,
but even more physical than Harry Kane. So you're talking about a player that would bully anyone. Like he would have been unplayable if you'd have had the mix of.
He was technically good as well. Like he scored some really good goals in his career.
Cracking left foot. Yeah.
You've seen him in his career since he's left Liverpool. It's not like he's kicked on. That's the frustration with an Anelka, a Keane, or something like that. Is when they've left Liverpool, they've carried on being brilliant.
Yeah.
It's almost like Liverpool's the blip, so they can get away with it. Carroll's been crap since he left Liverpool, so that's why he's more of an annoyance. Benteke, I mean, since he left Liverpool, has been horrendous as well. Both of them, 35 million bad strikers, haven't done anything.
And we've also got the Sean Dundays of this world, Eric Moyer, but they never really played. You know, they were brought in at a time.
They were backup. They were backup. Karl-Heinz Riedler was like that. He was brought into.
There was a pedigree, but he was a European Cup, and I was in a World Cup.
He was brought in. He was brought in to help Owen and Fowler because they were probably too young to be the main. And he was the line. So back then, I suppose the level of strikers that we were bringing in, we had got
we had got sort of a core of strikers from the early Premier League years through the Houllier sort of time. And it was only at the end of that we start seeing some real bags of shite, some real cans of piss. Like Iago Aspas is getting thrown in here a lot as well now. Iago Aspas is very unlucky because he came into a team when he was had to try and get in ahead of Suarez and Sturridge. That wasn't happening for him. He went back to Spain. And had a
Liverpool, the game wasn't televised. I remember on the radio.
Everything that could have gone against that fella is avoiding. Everyone's avoiding memory of him is the corner that he took.
Corner.
Yeah.
Oh, and
but the frustration with him, the frustration you got with him is, and this is probably you've got to reflect on Rodgers a little bit. Is there were plenty of games where we were 3-0, 4-0 up, cruising, 20 minutes to go. Take Suarez off. Throw him on, because
he never did. And
if you got to throw a striker on to give him some confidence, Fabio Barini got his first goal for Liverpool because we were 5-0 up against Newcastle and we were safe. So he went. Oh, well, I think
that's
a
reflection of Rodgers, isn't it? That's a reflection of Rodgers not really having the stones to take off of Suarez. Where he would do it to other players, he certainly wouldn't have done it to Suarez, and that was a damning indictment of Liverpool at the time.
If we want to go back in time, the other one is Nigel Clough.
Nigel Clough is a great
hyped, he's European Cup winner. He's Nigel Clough is a really, really good striker. The problem he had was he was trying to settle into Liverpool, and Robbie Fowler arrived.
Yeah,
and he just killed his career.
Yeah.
It just killed his Liverpool career.
He did. He came into a team
Liverpool.
when we did have an insurgence of McManaman was established, Redknapp was coming in, and Robbie Fowler then came. So Nigel Clough at the time, I remember as a kid, Nigel Clough was a great player, and he really, when we signed him, I thought, oh Jesus, this is the one, and it just never worked out for him. There's been a lot like that. Jari Litmanen's getting mentioned. Jari Litmanen was one that came in at the end of his career as well, and he came into a team maybe that just wasn't suited. Gerard Houllier built a team on big men, or Michael Owen being the little grease lightning striker. Litmanen just never made it. So we've a load of garbage here, boys. So Lazar is a fair enough show on one side of that attack. Chris, have you anyone you want to particularly throw in here?
Balotelli.
And again, Balotelli.
Not
harsh. We've had worse, but we put him in.
We have worse, but I have a real loathing for footballers who have unbelievable talent and can't be asked applying themselves. Balotelli, if he applied himself properly, could have been an absolute top striker.
Very recent.
Bit like John Joe Selvey. John Joe Selvey. We said it's very similar. Could have been a really top central midfielder.
Nearly won the Euros. Balotelli nearly won the Euros on his own.
Yeah.
So we knew what he could do. You're right. We have had worse strikers. Benteke is probably a lot worse. Andy Carroll, I would say, but
Jovanovic and all these boys.
Yeah, he was indicative of Liverpool at the time, which is when we needed him to step up at the big time. We had to, in the end, throw 19-year-old Sterling up front because we had no one else to trust. And that's it. And that's not a slight at Sterling. He's a brilliant player, but we shouldn't be asking a 19-year-old lead the line for Liverpool because big striker.
That was again another sign of the times, wasn't it?
He's very much so. So I'm not. He's a footballer that used to
Seany,
frustrate me.
I'll give you the last pick on that one. Then I'll give Seany the last pick on a striker there if you want to throw another one.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of agree with Chris then when you think about it, because Balotelli, we kind of gave him a chance to make himself
superstar. Yeah,
to pump himself in the pedestal, because nowhere else in the world would have suited Balotelli to kick off. Then would have been Liverpool. Imagine the whole of Anfield would have adored that fella.
Exactly.
Because he was mad as a box of frogs and had all the fucking ability in the world, but it was the worst part that just went against him in the end. And it was at the time where there was a gap there.
Yeah,
the void of Luis Suarez, and he actually, had he applied himself, probably would have kicked on. And look, he probably still would have been playing for us now, because he's not. What's he, 28?
Yeah, that's true. You forget how young he was, and he was at Man City. And I remember at the time, his agent, I don't know if it was Mino Raiola, could have been his agent at the time, and came out and said that you know, he doesn't want to be the number one striker somewhere. So it's not even like he was craving being, you know, Suarez wanted all, wouldn't come off. Balotelli didn't want to be the number one striker. He just wanted to be loved.
Thrown in Ricky Lambert shouts, but we got him for free. We got him for free, like,
at the end of his career.
Like what do you expect, man?
Ricky Lambert as well, but you wanted it to. Yeah, Ricky Lambert, you just wanted it to work because it would have been like a nice fairy tale for him. It just didn't.
Yeah, look, it's a harsh one. It was Lambert.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally throw it.
No.
Like, man, talking about Balotelli, like, I don't know about anyone else, but when Klopp came in, I was thinking, you know what, Klopp might actually get a tune now of him. He might be one of the only coaches who might be able to dial him in. Like, but
yeah,
then it just goes to show he was a lost cause.
He did.
Yeah.
No, he didn't bother.
He didn't even bother, did he? Klopp just went, no, get out the door.
I think Klopp knew what he wanted from a forward, wasn't it? And it was, you know, Bobby Firmino run the bollocks off himself. Mario isn't that, you know, and it's a shame. It's another one that, like Shelby, as we said, its ability is there, but the application just wasn't, and the dedication, and it sets the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo apart. Not comparing Ronaldo now with Shelby or Balotelli, but you know, he's one that, you know, chased perfection, and when he got there, pushed it again, you know, and these lads just fucking thought he made it, and their careers, harsh on Shelby, his career hasn't fallen away, but Balotelli certainly, you know, his career's in the shits now. He's at Brescia, and that's his hometown club, but you know, it's gone sour there. I know Italy isn't the best place, you know, from a racial point of view with the fans, but you know, it just hasn't worked out from there, and that's a small mid to lower table team in Serie A, and it just hasn't worked from at all. Like, so he really is he could have been, Shawnee, you're right there. We love a cult hero, and he could have been a cult hero and could have thrived, but it just didn't happen, you know, just didn't happen. So we put Mario in there.
Put it this way, that's why Divock Origi is a cult hero. He is not the greatest striker. He will never go down as a great Liverpool striker. But the lad gives everything he can and works his bollocks off. And you know what? If you work hard, it sometimes can make you lucky.
Well,
and, he'll always have the European Cup. Now, you know, if you asked me tomorrow, would you like an upgrade in Divock Origi? I would. I'd get an upgrade in tomorrow. But people give him a lot more time of day because you go, he is what he is, but he gives everything he can. With Balotelli, thinking if you give half of what he gave, you'd be a 20-goal a season striker, and everyone would love you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know,
never done it, did he?
He's still be well Italy now.
He had that killer instinct. Like he scored in some big moments and was about like he set up Werner for that goal.
Yeah, his only assist, wasn't it, for Man City? But he had ice in his veins when he needed it, didn't he?
Yeah, he had that trait, but he just didn't have the fucking.
Yeah.
So someone Alan Bogue said to put one in there. Like Sturridge will forever break my heart. 13-14 Sturridge is one of my favorite Liverpool players of all time. Like,
the goal against Sevilla in the final is the great. You know, no one talks about it because it was in the bleeding.
You know what? You could probably
Sturridge is a Aurelia.
If I'm pushing it out, you could put Sturridge to the left of a tree.
Yeah,
because he like. I remember us hanging on to every time he'd be coming back from injury.
Yeah.
And we were like, Sturridge is back, and he'd show up and he'd score. And you're like, look, fucking lovely. He still has it. And time after time, like look at the amount of time Klopp gave him.
Yeah.
To make himself part of the squad. And in the end, in fairness, he got a Champions League. But I just think Sturridge in the Aurelio bracket, desperately unlucky injuries, and this stopped him from being probably one of the top 5 strikers in Europe.
I agree. One of the best we've had, actually, you know, and it was a shame the way it panned out for him because he really could have been, you know, if he had been fit. And it's ironic that him and Balotelli would line up in this team because I thought first game Balotelli played was against Spurs and they linked up very well. And then went off on international break and Sturridge got injured for England. And that was it. You know what I mean? And 2 careers nearly killed in one blade and one goal, you know, that way. So it is a desperate one.
Well, the other option is do we look at a winger who didn't quite do it for us, a bit like a Markovic, you know, someone like Stuart Downing. who
It's hard.
big
Stuart
money.
Down was, I just think, is a bit of a jellyfish and a coward, and never had the,
But
you know, the weight of
he's still
everything
got
sort
big.
of weighed him down.
Mm,
But then he was
but
unlucky. He was one that
he,
hit the post in his debut. If that hasn't gone in, he's off to a flyer. Could have been different, but I mean,
with the right mentality though, it doesn't bother you.
yeah, true. He just didn't have the stones, did he? Just to
trying to think of what I would
So,
that. Can't remember signing a Wire player and thinking, oh Jesus, he's really good. He's gonna like. They were all relatively unknown. Like you have to look at Eddie and all of them who were from nowhere. You know what I mean? And,
Mark Gonzalez, Diomed, they were all low phase, weren't they? They were all low risk players, and you know, if you got Anthony out of them, Pennant was one.
One player I thought was always underutilised by Liverpool was Benayoun. Great player, but I do think we underutilised him.
Yeah,
Max Rodriguez sometimes fell into that. Max Rodriguez kind of fell into that bracket a little bit, as well as good players that didn't get used enough. You know, and the other one I think we hyped quite a bit was Mark Gonzalez. We did hype him because he was like he was ripping up La Liga. He was looking great against Real Madrid.
Did he get hit with work permits? Was it work permits that sort of scuppered him? We had to send him on loan.
We sent him on loan. We sent him over a year, and he did well in La Liga. Then we brought him in, and he was just too lightweight.
Yeah,
he was just far too. I mean, he scored in his debut in a Champions League qualifier.
It was one, it was an unlucky one, but I mean, if we look at the team, so if we were to go with the team we have now, we're looking at Mignolet in goal, Kroenkamp, Lovren, Sacco, and Aurelio, Aquilani, Shelvey, Charlie Adam, and then we've got Sturridge, Balotelli, and Markovic up front. Is there anything you want to change on that, or are they as happy with that? I mean, we could be here all night changing, and that's, I suppose, the nature of it.
Yeah, you could probably do it with a show on the midfield on its own.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. And this is just to look. It's only, I suppose, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? And it's just to try and to try and get a team up. Everyone, if you want to put in teams, he's around. Feel free. The lads, we might look to do another one of these shows. I know Grizz was chomping at the bit to come on, so Grizz might want to come on and do a show like this as well. So this is just what we came up with, lads. I'm going to pop a question on the screen here that's come in from Simon Drain, a Norwich fan. Do you want the season to end now or continue or wait till it starts again? Shawnee, what do you make of that? So you're looking to end it or
continue or wait until it...
I'm assuming until it's safe again is what you mean there. Yeah,
well, obviously this season 75% of the way through, so it would make little sense to curtail this season to play for the start of the next season that we don't even know when that will be then, if that's the case. So obviously, to be honest, I think a lot of people are throwing this question at Liverpool fans thinking we have some sort of preference. Like, you say whatever you want about how this season is going to end. We're going to be champions. Obviously, I'd like to win it on the pitch. And like I was thinking to myself, in an ideal world, we go back in September and finish this out, and then they can look at starting the next season in January and line it up at Qatar 2022. But UEFA have other ideas, and obviously the Premier League have massive revenues to protect. So obviously, when it's safe to do so. Yeah, like people think Liverpool fans want Liverpool football brought back tomorrow in England. No, like 4 or 5 weeks of England should be in the territory that Germany were in when they were able to restart. So, want the season just to finish this one off, draw the line under it, and then we go again then.
It's a great point, and it's one that we're seeing a lot of, like Liverpool fans want, they don't care about people's lives and all this, people dying, and Liverpool fans just want to win the league. We've won this league, you know what I mean? Whatever happens, we're going to be the champs of this league. The other issues are down the likes of Norwich, as Simon says, he is a Norwich fan, like, so they're the teams that have stuff to play out at the end of the day. But Liverpool fans, we just want it to be finished when it's safe. We didn't want it to be null and void. Obviously, was just shithousery by certain people, but we want to play when it's safe. Ideally, as Shawnee said, on the pitch, the players have earned this, you know, like no other team. Let's be clear, they were breaking records all over the place, set to smash records out of the park. They deserve that time to win this on the pitch. We, you know, but the way it's gone, it's not the normal situation. So whatever way people think it's the safest and fairest way to do it, we'll do it. But, you know, it's not Liverpool fans looking to, you know, at the risk of other people's lives just so we can get a trophy. Like, we will be the champs either way. So I don't think ultimately we really care how, not that we don't care, but, you know, it's not a question really for us, even though it gets pointed at us and gets directed at us. I think it's, you know, other teams maybe that have more of an interest in getting this finished in certain ways. We will be the champs. Would you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, my sort of it's a question I hear a lot. Was bored of hearing it. In an ideal world, I want it played on the pitch because I think that's where it should be settled. If not, then we're going to have to go down the points per game route. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they've set this deadline of it's got to be done by August. I don't know why. Why? Yeah. I mean, people. I get people's points where they're saying that look, lives are more important, and you know, let's just come back when we're safe. But realistically, a vaccine's not going to be around until 2021.
Yeah,
there are clubs, and I don't mean Liverpool. I'm saying there are clubs lower down that won't survive till 2022. And I know people say, well, but they'll still have their health. They'll still be alive. There'll be a lot of people that'll be unemployed if clubs go under. And I don't mean the football. I mean, you know, the people who work at the club. You know, you go to Anfield. If you look to go to Anfield, you know, all the bars, all the food outlets, all the guys selling scarves and all them. You know, that's the, you know, if there's no football for 2 years, what are they going to do? Yeah. You know, my thing I'm uncomfortable with this is I don't quite get why there's a deadline set of, was it August?
Yeah, that's the pressure coming from your wife, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the money pressure, and unfortunately, money is unfortunately the way the world works. I'm afraid, and you know, it's not nice. You know, we'd like it to be, you know, idealistic, but it's not the way. So, in an ideal world, I'd like it played on the pitch. I mean, I'm actually quite glad Liverpool have just kept their mouth shut as in the club, and they just wait till the government have said, right, now come after and do this. None of this leaking stuff out. None of this. Oh, we'd like this to happen. We'd like that. Just keep your counsel, keep your mouth shut, and just go. What if the club had said, if they said, right, we're going to end the season tomorrow. That's it. This is how we're doing it. Then so be it.
Yeah, we'll just accept it. So, you know, thanks for the question, Simon. You know, we do our best to answer, but we're not. Yeah, we'll say we have a Liverpool tinted specs on, but ultimately we try not to be too. In this instance, I think we're not the ones that would be, you know, putting the fly in the ointment in this, but others will. So, thanks for the question. Listen, we'll wrap it up because I'm keeping you all too long here tonight, lads. So I want to thank you for your time. Shawnee, thanks for coming on.
No problem at all, Keith. Thanks for having us, mate.
No problem. And Chris, again, thanks for joining us on this one.
No worries, thanks for having me, mate.
No, that's fine. So we'll be back on. I think we're back on tomorrow. Gav might have something lined up. So everyone stay safe and we'll talk to you all again soon.